Okay, so today I'm going to talk about something on my own situation again, and kind of just how it played out and how I look at things and stuff. Just because I think that there has value to some of the stuff, even if, if people think I'm wrong or whatever, it's like you got to still go with what you feel, how you feel, because nobody can understand how you feel, and it's your own lessons. So, however you should be affected, you will be affected. I mean, you can't get away from your own lessons. So, and I think that's something that we got to remember when it comes to everybody, because we all get in these habits of thinking we know what's best for somebody else. And I noticed a lot of things, of, uh, I think just as I don't know, somebody who is older, who sticks to themselves, who lives kind of isolated, then, people can look at that as like don't have anything I'm doing, I have nothing going on, I'm strange, or whatever. But it is, I don't know, guys, it'll seem like, people don't have a value of my life, but nobody has to. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, but that's where you have to have boundaries. Like, if somebody asks you to do something, and it's just so easy to slip into doing stuff for other people because other people need something, even when you don't want to do it. So, anyways, I have a bunch of those things coming up, but I feel like I'm going off from what I wanted to talk about because I have some other stuff I want to talk about. But I just, when I go through any of these processes, there is a lot of stuff that comes up, like a lot of things. That's why even when somebody says, like, I can't sleep at night, it's because you're trying to process stuff. You need to process the stuff. It's going to keep you up at night. It's going to not give you relief. It's trying to work itself out. It's trying to be processed. It's trying to have you let go. So it's going to keep you up at night. And, it's, especially right now, the energy's intense. That's what you're supposed to be doing, is processing, processing, processing. But people keep focusing on everything going wrong. Like this, what is this guy's name? Kramer. That's what it is. This should be easy to remember because Kramer off Seinfeld. But anyways, Kramer, and he is, I don't know, a political enthusiast. And he was outspoken. He was real popular for a while. And then he started being really judgy on the letter people and laughing at them and stuff. So it was a rift was created because a lot of people who are considered patriots also follow the letter movement. But, I'm not, I mean, I would say I'm a little bit of pieces of all those things. Like if somebody was going to back me in a corner and say, which way do you stand? I would be like, well, I'm a patriot. I stand with freedom. And if people say, well, how do you stand on that letter? I'm like, I think it's real, 100%. I'm not somebody who thinks it's a psyop and stuff. I think it is a part of a communication tool to get people awake, because there was a huge rush of people that woke up. I'd had people looking into things like crazy. So for people to say it's a psyop and stuff, it's like, then what are you guys, like, you guys don't understand that this is about the awakening. Like, that's one thing, is there's so many people that just don't understand life on that level. And so the Kramer this morning, because it's all about these outrageous things that go on, and then the people who pass on the information. And so it's like like they're pushing a domino. And so that's why I said they're all necessary, even though that they can seem so like redundant and so hyper focused on something and so stuck in their own fear. And Kramer definitely is one of them. And but he's got a strong role. But so he is outrageous this morning, as everyone should be in LA. And it is outrageous. Just as, if you are coming at from the angle of the awakening, all this stuff is to just, it's a big show. It's to get people to pay attention, to get people to see what's going on, the direction we're headed. Everything is about that. It's about people putting on the brakes. And you see it all over. As people awaken, they're all putting on the brakes. And it's the people who, there's like a certain thing, like where people, like they go out now and they're like, people all act like robots and zombies. And it's like those people are getting more trapped or something inside their heads. And they're just on autopilot. So they do seem like they're just whatever people call them, NPCs and all that stuff, but they do seem more mindless and robotic because it's lower chakra. You're on autopilot. You're just going through your day-to-day, reacting to whatever happens. Problem is, when you're just a reactive person, that you react to your triggers in a hostile way, when it's you who's the hostility, not the person who triggered you. So it creates so much toxic relationships. So that's why you got to reel it in and pull into self and go through your process so you can release whatever it is that triggers you. And so that is for your own benefit, so that you can go and have better relationships, so you can go in the world and feel better, so that you don't have all these people who can just push your buttons in a split second, that you can just, stay centered and stay calm. But it's been a process for me to get there, and I'm always having tests, and I had a big one yesterday, and I look at this in such different perspectives, and I can go through a lot of perspectives, like kind of quick too. Like, I don't know, I'll just say this one story. So anyways, the throat clearing bug and all that stuff is a lot of mucus. And when you have a lot of mucus, as when your body's trying to fight toxins, or they want to call them allergens, or they want to call them whatever, but your body is trying to push that stuff out. So that's why it gets so much snot and stuff. So, but I've always, ever since I was a kid, I've always had, I get laryngitis all the time. And I didn't have tonsils. They said that was kind of a weird thing. I was born with no tonsils. They said it wasn't anything there. And, I don't know, I've never had, I did get my throat really swelled up when I was really sick living in that one haunted house, which the haunted house thing is on my mind so much this morning. Like I've got a bunch of stories to kind of pull in together, but I've always had throat things, and then because I didn't really realize much about my voice until I was working at the lab, and the lab tech guy would make fun of me when I would come in the morning and the way I talked. And so I kind of hurt my feelings, and so then it made me more notice it, because I didn't notice it before. And so then I started being like, oh, my voice is really crackly. And so I started asking the doctors and stuff, and so I would ask them to look. So I had to go through a bunch of things to get to the point of, it was an ENT who was the one who had said, and he had to go down. I don't remember if he went through, it seems like he went down through my nose too. I don't like some of these things that doctors do. But anyways, he looked down there, and he was the one who said that I had a bunch of scar tissue on my vocal cords from that acid that comes up, because I have loose esophagus or something. So anyways, I don't even know why I went off on that talk. Something, I have no idea. Okay, so I gotta go back to where I was trying to talk about. And so yesterday, okay, so, ever since, the one person left, the girl who was staying here, since she left. And, that was a huge process. There was so much to process through, through that a couple of weeks. It was really ever since she had come, there was so much I was processing through, because, like there's a lot of things where I had to stand up for myself, and I had to set strong, strong boundaries. And I was very, that can be really uncomfortable to me. And then plus I had the stress of, um, my own stuff, my own situation. And so then it's like, man, it adds on more stress. And, it would make me think about a lot of things about how important it is to your healing is an independent journey. You can't put your healing on the other people. And it's just impossible. And I saw so many different things play out through that. So there was like a lot of things I was learning through those couple of weeks. And then, I didn't even have the perspective of like what the state person had said, but I did get that once they had said about, because it was her calling me the next day saying about that she had to get to these appointments and stuff. And I was like, well, I'll help you figure out the bus and stuff. Well, see, she can't do that stuff apparently. And so it would have to be just like, because I was having all these visions that day, which was really pushing me and, taking a stand. How do you feel about this? And all the visions that day was, I would have to dedicate my life to her mental health journey, which is like a lot. It's very emotionally draining. uh, Somebody else's stuff to weigh on you. And so I was like, and in the visions, and I just see myself having to take her to all these different appointments. It would be like this, I'd have to become this selfless martyr who gave up my life and dedicated it to somebody else's journey, which only is really stunting their journey because everybody has to fall to get themselves up. Everybody has to reach that point where they just, it's like it's surrendering. It's just giving up. It's to stop fighting the fight, stop fighting the current. It's like what I had said when I was in the water, and it was like I really had to let go. And that is the point where everybody's got to get to. But see, everybody's got to have it happen. And, me trying to drag somebody along is only prolonging their collapse. And so it's not like I'm doing them any favor. And so then you have to look at it like, so what am I trying to gain here? What would it be that I was trying to gain? To protect myself because I got to be a good guy, to like all the different things, how you can look at it. And that's a personal thing that you have to really get in and ask yourself. You have to really see, what are you trying to gain here? That's why I say that all the time. You got to look at a situation and you got to go through it and think, what am I trying to get here? What is it that I want from this person? What is that, what am I trying to accomplish? What am I doing here? And slow it down and really be honest with yourself and look at things. And you have to face the facts that you're not, perfect. You're not meant to be just the nice guy, the perfect person. Like, there is no perfect person. People will take advantage of you. But then you have to go back to self. Well, what was I doing that for? Why was I putting myself out there like that? Why was I making myself so available to be taken advantage of? Because I was too weak. I couldn't set my own boundaries. I couldn't stand up for myself because I think everybody else is helpless. So I just beat myself down. I just let myself be drained or something. Like, you have to go in and really try and understand what your problem is, what it is you're trying to accomplish. So that day when I was looking at that, and I was like, man, that is not what I want at all. I saw it in such a dark way where I was just like, man, it was really standing out to me that is definitely not what I want. And, but so then it's like, okay, so I've got to really stand up for myself. And then the state guy called. And see, the universe has a way, but see, it has things that you're supposed to look at. You're supposed to learn and understand. You're supposed to be thinking. You're supposed to be reflective. You're supposed to be looking at things in life and, going through a reflective period. And then the next thing will happen. But so many people are just kind of stuck. Oh, I didn't finish talking about what Kramer had said. I got to finish that real quick. So, okay. Now let me think So if I interject, because what Kramer's thing was quick, because he was freaking out because in LA, everybody should be outraged because in LA now they're going to have new cops. They're called, I don't remember what they're called. They've got a name for them, a new little catchphrase for that cops. So the people who came across illegally, so you can be not be an American citizen. Like the standards that keep going lower and lower and lower and lower. Like if anybody who has ever known anybody who's tried to become a cop and all of the stuff that they have to go through to become a cop. But if you're a military person, it is based like on your record. Like I said, there's a siphoning kind of way that our society runs that people don't understand the underbelly part and the what the like the service is really like a catch. You know, we can see these different people's personalities and then we can move them where we want them. Because a lot of people go into like the mercenary espionage for the corporations and like private police kind of thing. And, but so the ones that they want in, you know, in the controlling parameters, they still had certain things that they had to meet. And one of the big things is they aren't allowed to think for themselves. They have to just follow orders blindly. But that is a big training thing from the military. So, see, they always, it all just goes together how they move people and a certain personality type that they want doing certain jobs. And so but it used to be like you had to go through a lot of tests, a lot of stuff. Now you don't have to do anything. You just got to go down there and say you're illegal and you get to be a cop and they give you a gun, but you have to return it by the end of the day because it's illegal for you to have a gun because you're not a citizen. And so they don't have to be like all this stuff is so absurd and so outrageous and so ridiculous. And then you have these people who get so reactive to it. And it is so absurd. It is so ridiculous. But that is a part of the awakening. Is part of the showing the deep corruption, like the sexual escapades. Like there's so much this stuff that is like, oh my God. And some of these with the musicians, like there are some people who I see like on TikTok and stuff who are just so outraged. Like, I mean, some of their favorite people are really coming out as skeezy, just really like, man, like Cosby was like Cosby was nothing. These people just are like that. Like if they want their way with you, then I guess they just put something in your drink and don't give a fuck. That's the thing about people having no respect for one another and other people's energy and other people's story and thinking that it's okay just to hurt other people and cause pain and stuff. But see, the things are already set. Like you came in with that person to go through the experience because what you're learning and what they're learning. Like when you leave the place, you're not sitting there mad at each other. You know, you just were playing a part. It'd be like people in a movie getting really mad at the person in the movie for the part they're playing. It's like it's the same thing. We just forget because we get so caught up. Well, some people forget and then get so caught up in the storyline. And they, I don't know, it's weird. I think it's because you're birthed into the storyline. So, and then you got these people who trick you and confuse you the whole time. So it's, you know, it's programming and indoctrination. And you have to break that. And you have to connect to yourself because your internal voice will tell you a lot. You know, you have guidance. And so, and they work with you all the time, like what I was saying. And so, so this, through the situation, you know, they're talking to me through the different things I'm thinking about. Like, and some people, you know, who also talk to their guys, they'll think that their guys are telling, like, it all depends on how you think the information is swapped out. You know, it's all by perception. It doesn't it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a set thing. It's just how you perceive, how your conversations go. If you think that they initiate them or whatever, it's all in your own relationship. And so to me, it is, you know, just having these conversations where they're explaining stuff to me. And it just I just see things differently. And it can be through words, it can be through information. It's like it's all can be different. And so and then the guy called. And then what his perspective, what he was saying from the state's point of view, is like this place is the worst place for her. And that she needs to be close to resources. He couldn't even believe that she had come out here. She should have been in Spokane. The bigger the city, the more the resources. Because Bellingham is way smaller than Spokane, which Spokane is way smaller than Seattle. Seattle is a few hours away. And so, you know, she's at the Bellingham, Whatcom County. Because then you'd have King County. I don't even know all the different counties, but Whatcom County has its own. And so it covers a lot of different, all these little small rural towns, I think. And I guess Bellingham isn't very big. It's just a little college town that's like right on the coast, but it also has that like peninsula thing. So it's not like right out in the ocean. It's like inside a cove or something. And like I said, you can see Vancouver out across on some parts. And I don't know. I think it's I have an appreciation for all different things. Like appreciation for what is there. And I think it's I think Bellingham is really, really cute. It was one of those places where they just drove the price way up. And so the prices are so extreme. So that's why I ended up moving out from Bellingham, because I was going to move into Bellingham, but I couldn't find a place I could afford. And so anyways, but the state guy was like, you know, that's totally like wrong. She needs to be in a bigger city. She needs to be in a place where she has a lot of available resources. And they thought she needs to really be in a facility for a while. And I could see, but they had to have me close the door on her to not give her an escape route, to not give her a way to escape, because people will take the easy way. And to fall in challenges are a lot harder. People don't realize the benefit of challenges. They'd rather go the easy route. And see, that's just something in people that it's like when things flip, that would be like a domino that will start flipping in people. They'll want to push themselves a little bit more. They'll want to see what they're made of and stuff. But there's going to be things that make that a better environment to experience that, but there's going to be this other part of dependency and stuff will be a part that they have to process through. And it'll be all different for all different people. And I keep having so many tingles all over my body where I think like that is the frequency, and on my hair. And then having this, the castor oil did help that rash. It doesn't have that. It hurts. So, oh my gosh, it felt so sore. And I don't know if it looked like a rash. I don't know what it looked like when I would feel it. It felt like little bumps. And they felt like hot. They felt like sore. And so anyways, feels much better. But I put castor oil on my hands and then massaged it into my scalp. I use like castor oil for everything. I think it's like, I still think that we don't have the same intensity as what they used to have with it, but I still think it's like a miracle. I don't know if you would call it a drug, a miracle ointment, cream, whatever. I think it's good. Anyways, so anyways, they were, you know, his perspective was that is more doing her a disservice, and that I would be following my own ego to be trying to, you know, like, is that really what you want to do? Is that what you really want to do? Because she needs to go to appointments all the time and stuff. And it's like, no, the agreement was she was going to become independent out here. I can open up a room for you, but you have got to become independent. It's not, I don't like that feeling of being a crutch. It is something that I went all through when I was a kid, like with my dad. My mom was way more like, I don't know. I don't know that if she knows how mean she was. But she would always complain about her mom was so mean. And so my mom probably thought she was being a lot nicer. But she just didn't have like a soft, she didn't have like a soft side. She was just mean. And so, so you didn't really have like much of a relationship with her. My dad, he was a lot more, to talk to you, but he was also alcoholic, so he would also just get mad all of a sudden. There was all sorts of issues with that, but when he would get into his drunken depression, and he would just sit and cry at me, because I was the oldest, and this happened especially when my mom was gone, but he did it before that too. And sit and cry. He always want me to feel sorry for him. And then I would sit there for hours talking to him, telling him, how he can change his life, he can make it better, just do these things and all this stuff. And, and I was a kid. And then he would just get up the next morning and do the same shit. And it was really frustrating. So I cannot stand when people start being like that to me, especially if they are drinking. Oh my gosh, I can't stand that. That really rubs me the wrong way. So I definitely do push back. Like, you got to take care of yourself. You got to do, if that's not what you want, then you got to make a change. You got to do something different. And I'm not going to sit here for hours doing these pep talks and trying to convince somebody. And then the next day it starts all over again. It's like, no, this is not, no, hell no. And so, anyways, all of the visions and stuff I was getting about that, it was like giving me so much more clarity. And so it was easy for me to say, yeah, I will stand up to her and say she can't come back here. She's got to get out of her crisis, which, that could take her a long time. It depends on the person, depends on how much you can get into the groove, but it's not like you can do it faster than you were going to do it. You're always going to do it when you're supposed to do it. Everything happens in perfect timing, and people just are not in the groove of the timing. They just are fighting it, trying to control it, not being present, fighting a battle that is inside of them. Like, there's a lot of things going on, and there's so many different people, but each person has to recognize their own issues and pull themselves in. But so it can take however long it takes. And so, she's got a battle just to start with trust. And so she's got to get over huge barriers of trust to even get towards, her other processes, letting go of her trauma and stuff and processing through there. But she's got to find, and, there's having no stability is, makes people feel, there's a lot of things. Like, I feel like we got to give more respect when people are in crisis, even though, it's their soul, but they're going through big lessons, and they're hard. They're hard to face lessons. And, and I know she was drawing in so much dark energy. And like I said, the house is so haunted right now. And I know that she was pulling in a shit ton of dark energy. Like, I don't even know all the energy. Like, when I look down there, I just look creepy. I'm going to have to clear out everything I can to give no hiding spaces, because they kind of will blend, but then you can see them. And it just is eerie. It is just like, man, this is eerie. Like, every time you walk past a door that you see somebody standing there staring at you, it's like, oh. Yesterday I walked down the hall, then there kept being like a crack in the floor behind, and I was like, okay, I've never heard that before. And so that was creeping me the fuck out. And just a lot of things where I was like, okay, she did not take all of her energy with her. She left a lot behind because I think she was drawn so much in. And I know I am just like in a portal place anyways, because the sound is so high. And it's all just different energy currents. Like it does, a portal is just an energy place where it can move through. And so, things can move through, or it's like a place where there can be other realities that are happening simultaneously, but at two different frequencies. And then, especially like if this is going this frequency, but if you are going a different one, and then you start seeing into this one, that's what it seems like. Sometimes I can see into another one, but then it is, but then yesterday I was thinking, I think that she drew in a bunch of dark energy. And I keep doing those things where you blow it out and stuff, but I feel like really depleted. And that's another thing too, that energy will pull on you and pull on you. And like I had said, where I felt like that they were affecting the dogs, they'll affect more things to create the feelings to feed themselves. And so it's it's a whole thing with these energies and stuff. And so now I have a couple of places where it's like going in together. So hold on. So because I wanted to say this part about that. And so yesterday I had seen this TikTok of this girl, and she was talking about that she does a podcast or something and talks to criminals that have been incarcerated. I'm not sure what her thing is about. And so she said that she never goes and looks up their crimes, and she goes and talks to, and I don't know how she picks them or anything. This is just a clip that I had seen of this girl talking about this. And she said that when she went, she was talking to this girl, and she said she was real caught up in this girl's story, that she thought this girl's been wrongly accused. She was all into this girl's story where she felt this kindred spirit or something, like she wanted to stand up for this girl. And so she said that, so she's sitting there talking to her and asking her questions, and the girl was looking down, and she said all of a sudden the girl looked up at her and just dead ass stared her in the eye. And she said that every hair on her went up, that she got chills, that she was so creeped out, and that the girl's eyes were just like black and empty, and that they were super creepy. And she said that she totally got the creeps, that she was so weirded out, and she wanted to leave. And so she ended up leaving and went to her hotel. And I think she said some weird stuff started happening. And I can't remember what the stuff was, but she couldn't shake that creepy feeling, and it was keeping her up. And so she decided she was going to go look up the girl's crime. And then when she saw what the girl had done, it was so horrific. She said that then she knew she was staring in the face of evil, but that she could not shake that for a couple years. And when I was hearing her story, I was like, oh, she got some of that dark energy attached to her. And I was thinking, okay, so she went there, and this girl obviously had a lot of dark energy. And so this girl took some home with her, and it was attached to her for a couple of years. She was really down and kind of depressed and stuff. And see, that's what they'll do too. And that's why you got to keep shaking them off and shaking them off. But so she said that that she what was I going to say? It got better after a couple of years, but I was thinking, so what would have gotten this girl to, like, I mean, was she super depressed? Was she down? Like, there had to be something that energy was feeding off of to want to attach to her. It doesn't have the thing where, it's like a demon in there. It's like a fractal out. Go with that one. It's not like that. It's an attraction. It's a vibration. It's something that this energy becomes attracted to. And this girl obviously had a whole lot of dark energy, where I think, you start having too much, it starts being like it consumes you. You become the dark energy. You become the parasite. You become like what I'm seeing go on with this one girl who, Lucifer Lover's girl. It seems like she's being consumed by the dark energy. And, but she opened the door. She let it in. And it's like, and so anyways, it seems like, so I was trying to think of what would have been, how that girl would have attracted that energy onto her. And I thought, I would think it would be maybe something was opportunistic. There had to be something. It could have even been that she, got in a fight with her boyfriend the night before. And so she was feeling stressed or tense. And then she went to go do the interview. And then that energy attached to that feeling and went home with her. And then it took her a couple years to shake it. But that is what is creepy, is that is what I try and tell people and say, is you got to really be mindful of who you go around and stuff and where the dark energy is. There's a lot of dark energy in nightclubs and stuff. There's a lot of dark energy. Because you think about all the people who are just depressed, maybe do shitty things all the time, and then they just want to go out and be mindless and drink and get away from everything and go to a nightclub and, start the next drama. And so they carry around a lot of dark energy. So going to nightclubs, like you got to really think about the energy that you're taking home with you. And it can be from jobs, hospitals, like all the different things. Like there's all these, that's what we're all shifting around, where people think like, oh, you're shifting around germs. You're shifting around these energies, this dark energy. The more that we all detach from the dark energy, the less it has place to live. But definitely, like I had said before, going to the mall, I think people pick up that energy and stuff. People just don't realize that they are picking up these passengers along their route off of somebody else's stuff, but then you carry something that they're attracted to, so that you pull them onto you. But it's still, they're carrying somebody else's anger and all that stuff. And so then it's feeding it into you. And then you are reacting to, see, we all have this connection that people don't understand. It's a much deeper connection. And so anyways, but it's when we all change and we can change it and go in a different direction. But you got to get people to understand what this place is, what they're doing here, and all that. And it's like, but everybody is so busy playing games. And so let me think, did I finish? Okay, so I finished about that. So anyways, so after she had gone, and Jack was just being so, oh my God, he was just being like a devil dog. And, and it would be like, I would feel like, we were making progress with his training. Like, he was really good at having good manners. Like, when he first came and it was feeding time, he went into a fucking frenzy. And he was really good about sitting and waiting. And I always teach them manners. And so then if they want a treat or something, so anything that they want like that, they have to have manners about it and sit down and wait, patiently. And he was doing really, really good with that. The only things that he was doing really bad with was the biting and growling. He was growling at me. Because when I had started looking up about training things about the biting stuff, they were saying about the growling, like these certain behaviors that he was doing, that they're really bad and that you really have to get a handle on them. And so I was like, fuck, man. And so a lot of them were saying, the crate thing and stuff. But I couldn't keep him in the crate all day long. He had to be able to go outside. And then, and dogs love to go outside. I have not had a dog that does not like to go outside. My dogs are always in and out dogs. I don't make them stay in the house, and I don't make them stay outside. I let them decide what they want to do. And sometimes I'm just opening and closing the door, and then I will if they're doing that, because he started doing that kind of stuff. And but Stella, she knows the rules. Like, that is one thing too, is when you have a dog like Stella, it is hard to find anything that can compare. Like, she is another, she's another level. and she understands things, that she has compassion. She is like, she's just another level. And so anyways, uh, she knows that I won't do in and out. If you are doing in and out, you have to stay in for a little while. I won't make them stay out for a little while. I'll make them come in and stay. But I guess sometimes if she, but usually she just wants to lay on the porch, or she'll lay down in the driveway and watch to see if like people are going by. But usually she just likes to lay on the porch for a while. I think because it's cool, because she's chunky. And so anyways, Jack was becoming more and more vicious about the growling and trying to bite me. And then when I would have to pick him up, he was getting so much heavier. Oh my God, it was killing my back. And I'd have to pick him up and get him to his crate, because he would reach a point where he would just go crazy. And you're not supposed, like in the training things, you're supposed to do it before. You got to get them so they don't go crazy, because then they don't know how to behave or something. And so I would try, and as soon as he would start getting wild and jumping on top of Stella and biting her, and then jumping over here, jumping back over and biting her, he would get into these just constant biting her. And then if I try and stop him, he'd start biting me. And, you know, Stella didn't want to play like that. She would play with him for a while, but after he would just keep biting her, she would want him to stop. She'd try and get up. She would signal to him, whatever dogs do. They will do kind of like an aggressive, like, "Arr!" kind of, and smack him, like, leave me alone. And he wouldn't stop. He wouldn't stop. And so, you know, I would try and stop that and get him and put him in his crate. But so he couldn't stay in his crate all the time. You know, he'd have to go outside. And so then he would go outside and he would go into this total anxiety attack and just sit out there and just bark and bark and bark and bark and bark and bark and bark. And then, for God's sakes, if somebody walks by, he'd go crazy. And then the other dogs that would come out, so he'd start barking at them. And so he would, you know, I don't know how he would do this. Because Stella is always, even Winston, I've had a few people come and bring their dogs, and like there's a few dogs that have no respect for boundaries. But, you know, because I'd also watched one of my daughter's dogs. I've watched a couple of my daughter's dogs at different times, but one of them was a digger and a scaper. He would dig huge holes, he would scape, and he would take off running. And I live by a busy street. I don't know how this dog didn't get hit. And one time he even got, the hole was big enough that he got my Mastiff out, Lucy, before she died. And she was out running down the busy street. Oh my God. It was hellacious. I have total PTSD on the dog escaping thing. And so it was constant. I can't even tell you all the things I had to do to reinforce that fence. And that was a chain link fence. So he would just dig under and make these huge, huge, massive holes. And then I'd fill them all with concrete and rocks and everything. And when you have a dog like that, it's like you're just chasing the holes. I just go and dig another one and another one. And so anyways, that's what Jack was doing. He would go outside and he would just, I don't know, he would just see like an open spot and just fly through it. And to me, it wouldn't even seem, I've got so much stuff out there. And this is another thing too, where my mom had a dog that did this, named Griffin. And my mom would have like her fence would just be all hokey. She was constantly trying to cover all these holes that this dog would do. And that was the death of him, because those dogs, when they just will take off and run, and then he did get hit. And but that was a constant battle for years and years and years. I mean, I think he was like, I don't know, 12 or 14 by the time he got hit. He could have been 10. He was all gray. He was older. But, you know, he had spent his whole life, you know, escaping and running every day. And so, that's what Jack was doing. And his first time of escaping, he jumped out at the funky neighbor across the street who calls the police on me when my daughter's dog got out. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So now he's going to go and start this fucking nonsense with this guy. And luckily that one neighbor who likes me came out and diffused that situation. But still, I knew it was only a matter of time because Jack wouldn't stop. I mean, he would just sit there and face right at their house and bark at him, bark at him, bark at him. And the guy would come out. I swear to God, he would come out just to stand at his mailbox for 10 minutes just to do it. Like, people, I don't know. I just see so much dysfunction all the time. Like, people setting up bullshit that they don't want, but then they do it to make it happen. And so, because he would be, he would bitch about that dog barking, but then you got to stand out at your mailbox and go through all your stuff. Why don't you just take it in the house? What are you doing? And so, because when he's barking and barking and barking like a crazy fool, I have to look out and see. It's like, what in the hell, guy? And, but, that guy is, I don't know, he lives for drama with neighbors or something. He gets in fights with neighbors. And so so that was stressful because that guy, he was the first one that when I very first moved in, he came over and started telling me him and his wife were going to kick my ass. And just moved into this house. You haven't even asked me my name yet. And you are coming to tell me you're going to kick my ass because my daughter's dog went into your yard. And so right away, I was putting a fence up and stuff. Like, I am being responsible. And these people have no fence or anything. I've got a fence for the back, a fence for the front. I've got everything gated. But I'm the one who is, okay. So, anyways, so yesterday, so the day before, okay, so ever since that she had gone, it was definitely Jack's behaviors were just getting more and more intense, where I felt like it was really pushing me, like, oh my God, is this really what you want? And everything I would see, I was just like, oh my gosh, because I want to have a farm with little animals and stuff. And then when I would see that, I'd be like, oh my God, he would kill everything. There's nothing, he couldn't, like Stella, I could get a kitten or a little chick and she would be so gentle with it and be just, enamored with it. She would be very gentle. And he would, he tries to chase the squirrels, the cats. He'll try and climb the fucking tree to get the squirrels. And which it was causing a lot of no peace in my squirrel yard because my squirrels and I had a relationship. They come up to the door when they're hungry. And this guy's chasing them up trees and stuff, running them off. And I think I had a food place where I go out and feed them. And I think he was going up and stealing their food out of there. So anyways, then the day before yesterday, because he had gone out to the fence, like, he had his daily escapes. If I let him out of the crate, then I would let him go outside, and then he would be wild. I'd go out and throw something, but every time you throw something, he'll do it a couple times, but then once he likes something, he goes and buries it. Everything. Stick, anything you're playing with him. A toy, anything. He would run and go dig a hole and bury it. I was like, I've never had a dog that did that all the time. And so he would, but I would go out and try and play with them. And then I started noticing one of the games was working against me because he would run so fast and all I had to do was step like that and he would go run. But that was turning more into, like when I would try and get him, that he thought we were playing or something. And it's like, dude, no. But everything. And then he would start attacking Stella. And then I would try and get in between him. And that's when he would jump down and he would start growling and trying to bite me. and if I would block him from biting Stella, and then he would go underneath Stella. He would go underneath her. So she would be up here. He would go underneath her, then go behind her, turn his head and bite her on the back of the legs. And to see, and that's where that one cyst had popped. And so, you know, he was, and she's got a bunch of those cysts, which I took her off of the kibble food, because I was seeing, because I started reading that whole thing that happened with my mom and stuff. It opened up a whole another door to my thinking. And so I started thinking, well, I wonder if that food could be making Stella break out like that. You know, I'm just trusting that this food is good because my mom says it's good, because all her and her friends like it. But maybe it's not good for Stella. Maybe I need to pay attention to what's going on with Stella. And think about the food and all her cysts. I think it has something to do with the water, for sure, outside, which she loves the rainwater. That's the thing. That's the only water she ever wants to drink, is the fucking... And then I got to think, okay, well, this is what all of the wildlife is drinking. So, or is, you know, I just think that all the wildlife is sick too. And so she, let me think. So, anyways, what was the next thing? I don't know. I think I stopped in the middle. But, oh yeah, so he was just getting worse with his behavior of growling at me. Like one of the days when he was jumping all over Stella, and I had to catch him to put him in his crate, because he won't listen. When he gets wild, he won't just walk over there and go to bed. He won't just stop. No, as soon as you tell him to do something, he goes completely crazy. And so I would have to catch him. And one of the days he was trying to bite me in the face. I was like, man, is this guy going to be somebody who's going to bite somebody and hurt somebody? Like, fuck, I got to get control of this situation. And then I think it was the next day or something, and the neighbor had come out to outside in her yard, and he was barking at her. So she went over to the fence to try and, you know, oh, hi, you know, play with him, make contact or whatever. And he went insane and tried to bite her, and was so vicious, like that same kind of snarling and growling. And plus he goes so crazy, he starts biting the fence. He's bit the fence. All these holes are in the fence from him biting the fence. And it was like, so she was like, oh my God. So she messaged me. And that's why she was like, maybe if you bring him over here or something, is he just went crazy and was trying to bite me. And I don't want him to hurt my dogs. And so I was like, well, he goes through there all the time. He's always busting into your yard. And the dogs all just sit and bark at each other. I haven't seen any fighting, but he always just goes over there. And so she was like, okay, but I didn't know that. So she had went and talked to the owner and was saying something about him trying to bite her. And so the original girl who owned him, she had said that, well, if it's not working out, we miss him. We would really like him to come back. And so I didn't know about this conversation. And so then yesterday, so it was, you know, I just kept trying to make the best of things, like, okay, we'll just train. But it is exhausting, as he is just so high energy. And the whole thing too is that was going, I kept thinking, it really does make a difference over the breed of dog you get. You know, if you have a high energy dog and you're not high energy, then it's not a good fit. And, you know, he definitely, like, if there was a guy who wanted to go out and hike for hours and hours and hours, and this dog would love that. He'd run, you know, he's like a scout too. He'd run and jump. Like that would be his lifestyle. Which, you know, I don't like to go out and do that. Like me and Stella will go on walks and stuff, but it's, and we'll go hike back some in the paths and stuff, but I am not a big one for going out. Like, I don't want to run into mountain lions and bears and shit. And I'm not about that. And so and with Stella being old and disabled, it's like we don't have a high energy lifestyle. And so those things were sticking out to me too. Like, it really is a better fit for him than you. And, but I kept feeling like, well, I got to power through. And then that also, you got to think about, you get other people's voices in your head. And so, like my mom, then just give him away. He's too much work for her. I don't think she said too much work for you, but she was insinuating like I couldn't handle it. And that I needed to give him away because, if I didn't want him biting me, then that is, I obviously am handicapped or something. And so, so then you're like, well, you got to prove her wrong. Like, I'll make it work. I've got to make sure she's not right, and you don't want to get caught up in that. It's like, no, whatever your opinion is, all I've seen is that you have a low opinion of me. That's just basically it. And I'm not going to, you just can't let it affect you in some ways, but you can see how we can develop patterns of behavior based on other people's opinions of us. And so I wasn't going to let that override, oh, well, then, she'll be right and I'll be wrong if I don't keep him. So yesterday it was, whatever, when we got up and, I let him out. Stella was really tired. And so anyways, I had fallen asleep. It was pretty chill in the morning. We were just kind of chilling, but he was like moving around and more anxious and stuff. So then by the time I got up and I let him out, then he just went wild and was running. And then I saw him out front, just going down the street, because Stella would start barking. And I'll go out and look, and he's just running down the street. I was like, what in the fuck? Now, where did he find to get out? And so I'm going out and trying to find where he found to get out. And luckily on this one, he's going over, of course, the bad guy neighbor house and to the other ones that I'm sure they just watch on their doorbell camera. But he, so then I opened the gate and I just called him. I tried to like, okay, come here, and be real pleasant so he would come. So he came back into the yard, and he'll go straight over to the hole. He does not care if he gets in trouble. He does not care if you're trying to close him. He doesn't care if you're standing right there. He'll just run and go straight back over and jump right back through. So I saw right where he was going to go, so I went over and blocked it. So then I went back in, and then a few minutes later, somebody had walked by, and he was going crazy. And this is the other part that's scary, because that's when Trixie had jumped over the gate, was when that one lady walked by, and then she was standing out there screaming. It was a golden doodle. Like, he would look a lot more scary and intimidating. Like, he has a vicious snarl, and he looks scary. And so, somebody, like, he's going to get himself taken by the state or whatever they're called, the animal control. They'll come and say, especially if he bites somebody. And so then he was running, and he runs so fast. He was running down the street, passed the house next to me, went down that street and took off running. Then I heard him going up in somebody's yard and barking at him, because I could hear somebody out working in their yard. And then I heard him run up and start barking, so I could hear he was creating drama. So I was like, oh my God. So I got all my shoes and my coat and stuff and start going out to go get him. He's running back that way again, going the other way. And he's like a greyhound too when he's running. He's so fun. Like, this dog could be a dog racing and jumping. He could do those hurdles and stuff. Like, this dog is high energy. And so he runs to the other thing. So I'm at the gate and I start calling him, and then he's like, he doesn't know if he wants to come in. And I said, then he'll go back to his hole. He'll start looking for his hole to dive through the other side. And so I'm calling him. Like, I'm have the gate open, trying to call him in, and he's trying to look for his hole to dive back through. And then he'll be all sketchy. He'll come towards me. Then he'll run back over to the hole. So got him back in. I don't remember if he went through his hole or what. So then I went and saw a whole thing. I had to start closing up on that part. The second he got back in the yard, the neighbor's dog came out and started barking. So he jolted over there as fast as he could and was going crazy. Because the more he goes crazy, the crazier he goes. It's like he needs to calm down, and you can't catch him. It's impossible. I was trying to catch him. And then when he went over there, I finally caught him somehow. I don't even know how I caught him. It's like, it's ridiculous. You feel like your Keystone cops out there chasing him and, falling down and stuff. It's like ridiculous. Finally got him and got him on that lead thing. So he only had 15 feet or something. So he couldn't get out of the fence. And so I put him on that. He was outside. And then I went outside to do something. Oh, I was sweeping the porch off because he always drags stuff up on the porch and chews it and breaks it, makes a big mess. And then Stella likes to lay there. So I was sweeping off the porch while he was on this thing. Because he was out running around and playing for a while. And then he got all upset. And so then when I was going to go in, I let him off the thing to come in with me. And he comes walking up on the porch like he's going to go with me. And then he takes off running. So he takes off running again, goes and starts running around the yard as fast as he can. Like, this dog never gets fucking tired. And he's running in these giant laps through the yard. And I'm just standing there. And then he runs. So that's not enough. Then he's got so Stella comes over and he starts running up and biting her. So every lap he's got to run over and bite her. I'm trying to stand there to keep him from biting her. And then she's getting reactive to him because of how he's acting. Because she always, if she feels like I'm not safe, it gets her reactive. And so she's trying to get him to calm down, but really it's like I'm trying to get him to stop biting her. So I just have to kind of, stand there and not do anything, because then I'm only making it worse. And so he's just running and running and running over and biting her, and does that for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, whatever. It seems like it's for fucking ever. And then something catches his attention out front again, and then he goes darting out front, and he goes running, and then he is running back and forth on the fence. And I was just like, oh my God, okay, I'm just going in. And so I went in, and then their dogs came out, and so Stella went over there, and they were barking at the fence. And then he just went. How much stuff I have put up there to that fence. I have tied things, like, it looks so, like, where I was all judgy of my mom. And it's like, I'm telling you, every time if I judge something, it always will come back around, always. And so but that whole side of the fence, both sides, it's just all like just put together to try and hold him in. And he wants to not be held in. Like, I was already thinking when he was going and running, I was like, this is not a dog you can get close to. I mean, you don't know when this dog's going to disappear. You don't know when he's going to get hit. Like, he is just, does not give a fuck. And then I'm also thinking, dude, like, I feed you real food. You get treats and shit. And you are, that's not good enough. You have this whole yard to play in. That's not good enough. So, if you think you can do better, then more power to you. Like, if you're just going to keep running and go find something better, then, I don't know. I mean, what can I do? And so I'm just feeling completely just like fucking bullshit, man. It's like all day going out there and trying to stop this. And then all of a sudden he's over in the neighbor's yard again. And so and Stella's out there barking, having a fit, trying to, she's always alerting me, but I think she's got a lot of bitchy things that she's saying, because I'm sure she would want to go over there too. So she's mad and jealous, but he also needs to come back in. And so she's got like this whole emotional thing happening. So I start trying to get her to come in, finally get her to break free, and she comes up to the porch. Then I coaxed her into come in and have treats, and he was gone for a while. She would just stay right by the door, just waiting for him and waiting for him. And I kept saying, he's going to be back. He's going to be back. And then by the time he comes back, he slams into the door. So she jumps up and starts barking. So we let him come back in. But when he was over at the neighbors again, I texted her. And that is where, you know, I'm like venting. I am just like, at this point, I am so fucking fuming. And I'm just like, I fucking hate this dog. He's such a fucking dick. And I'm like, he's back in your yard again. And he just won't listen. Like, I've tried everything. Like, and she was saying, well, you know, I'll go out and try and reinforce the fence. And I'll try and do some stuff on Christmas break to do the fence stronger. And I was like, oh, now he's busting out the front. And, you know, he's already gone up to the guy across the street. And luckily Wayne was there, the one neighbor, to diffuse that situation. And then he's already out running in the streets, and you can't catch him. It's impossible. And he has to decide to come back. And so I said, so he's already out running. Like, you know, to me, it's like, if you're just going to run off, then there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, if that's your number one goal all day long is to freaking run away, then there's like, what can I do? And so she was saying, well, I really don't mind if he comes in my yard all the time. I know my dogs have broke through into yours. And so I really don't mind. And the only thing I worry about is if he's going to come into the doggy door, because her dog, the 14-year-old, is blind. That's the one Stella loves. And their other one, the 11-year-old, is having seizures. And so she's like, I don't want him to hurt them. And I was like, well, I mean, he goes over there all the time. And she goes, I wouldn't want him to get into the doggy door. And then if he starts attacking the cat, then the 11-year-old dog would totally attack him. And I was like, well, I don't know. I think he's kind of too scared that he would just go into your doggy door. But after watching them a few times, he would probably follow them in. But he wouldn't just do it right away. But I can't say he wouldn't do it. And I can't say he wouldn't become aggressive to the dogs, because he won't stop biting Stella. And then growling and stuff, and he's getting more aggressive. Like, a dog will push to be the pack leader or something. So he was pushing both her and I so he could be the pack leader. But, you know, I won't let somebody just kick Stella's ass. And, you know, because I just won't let him. And so anyways, we're having this conversation. And so she starts telling me, well, she was sending me stuff about where I could get him neutered. And so I was looking at that. I was saying, well, I'm going to do that then in January. Is after the first of the year, I'm going to go get that done. And then I'm going to get a bunch of stuff and reinforce all the fence and make it to try and make it where he can't get out. And so I was talking about like the stuff I was going to do. And she's like, well, about, well, maybe he just needs to go to the shelter. And I was like, no, I don't want to put him in the shelter. Shelters are overrun. Like, no. I mean, that's why I was taking him. So we wouldn't go to the shelter too. Because he was going to the shelter. And so I was like, no, I don't want to go to the shelter. They're so overrun right now. I keep seeing stuff. And it's just not a good situation. And she was like, well, he's puppy. He'd get adopted real easy. I think there's a lot of puppy. I think all the shelters are overrun, and I don't know. But so she kept seeing the positive. But she's always seen the positive in the system, because her and I have had a lot of different conversations. Because even where, you know, when the guy died in the yard, in that house behind us, and she was like, you know, old people shouldn't be just left like that in their houses, you know, when they're 60 years old. Someone's over 60 when she's telling me that they should just be able to go and live in a facility and stuff. And you know, I mean, she probably has all good intentions, but we have very different opinions about stuff, because I think that those places are just meant to take people's lives from them. And I think in a functional society, it would be a lot different. Older people won't run off their kids and kids won't abandon their parents, and it would be just a lot different, and and people taking more notice of their healing will keep them from getting so sick, and people noticing how important it is for them to stay independent in their moving and to keep doing things for themselves, because it's when people stop doing things for themselves, then they stop taking care of themselves. And it's just, it happens with a lot of older people. And people tell them, well, no, you're too old. Don't do that. So when I was over at my mom's moving all that wood, it was like, no, don't let somebody tell you, just hire somebody to do it. Go out and do it. And it will keep you younger, keep you healthier. So anyways, she was telling me, that I should take him to the shelter and stuff. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give up. Well, you should just, if you're going to give up, you should just give up now. And it's like, no. One thing is I've noticed too is if you vent or you say honest, if you are honest, like if you just are always pretending like everything's fine, but if you're honest and you say, this is fucking bullshit, man, this is some shit, people don't know what to do with it. And I'm always like that. I always show my true self. And so I always get this feedback, of this, like I can't handle it or something. But to me, it's like, I'm just saying how I feel. And so, anyways, I was feeling in the conversation, well, no, I can do it. I can, I just got to keep training him more. I don't want to just give up. I'm going to try these different things. I said, plus I want to get a farm that's more open. I said, I am kind of worried, though, that he's going to kill everything because he's so vicious. And so then she's like, well, if it's not working out, they really want him back. And I was like, they want him back? And she goes, yeah, they want him back. I was talking to her and they really miss him. And I was like, are you sure they want him back? Like, if they want him back, I will give him back. But if they want to just take him to the shelter, no, I will keep trying. I'll keep working with them. I don't want to give up on him. And I don't want him to go to the shelter. And she's like, no, they really miss him. They really want him back. And I was like, well, okay, yeah, if they want him back, then it's probably a way better fit because he's not happy here. That's all he does is run away all day long. So he's not happy here, and he's getting so vicious. He's being so mean. And so that is when I found out that the day before when she was talking to the neighbor, see, it happened just as organically as them coming, is when she was talking to the neighbor about him trying to bite her through the fence, that the neighbor or that the girl had told her that they would really like him back, that they missed him. And that their dog missed him, their other son missed him, like he was being missed. And that they were kind of regretting that they had not kept him. And so I was like, well, he can come back. Like, because he's definitely not a good fit with us. I mean, he's got way more energy than, so I'm doing him a disservice. And even when you try and get him the smart balls, he was, he just wanted to tear him up. He didn't try and like outsmart the... I was thinking I would get those little... I kept trying to think of other things like to do for a smart dog like that is bored with high energy. And, but, him biting Stella and stuff, I don't like that. And but we had been working on it. And he would do it sometimes because I was always gentle and kisses. And then sometimes he would catch himself and go up and start licking her. But he definitely get himself all worked up. And so then she goes, okay, well, I'm going to message him. So she messaged him and she said, okay, they said they're coming right now. I was like, okay, I'll get his stuff together. And I like all the stuff he tore up, I still sent it with him because he would still play. Like, even though he tore all the toys up, he would take like a little piece of something and sit and play with it. So I was like, well, I'm going to send his stuff. He tore his bed. He tore a hole in his bed. The little holder for the toys, he was eating that. Like, everything is like destructed. And so I sent that stuff. But so she said that they're going to come right now. And so His harness too, because I had bought the harness. I don't know if they thought he had come with the harness, but I bought the harness, and the very first day he had it, he ate the front part of it. So I had to sew another piece on, and because it was funny, because the guy had noticed that. And but I thought he had a harness and he didn't bring it, and the guy thought this was their harness, and he was looking at it like, because it looked different, and so he had noticed that I had sewed that part on, but they probably had kept his harness for their other dog or something. But anyways, so I still sent him in the harness, because even when I was trying to have him on the thing and had him, because you couldn't have him on the harness, he'd eat the harness. And so this thing, the collar, he couldn't get it and eat it, but he figured out how to get out of it. And so I gave him back the collar and all that stuff. But so when I went out there, and she had said that the husband wanted to take a more active role now, and he wanted to, play with him and get his energy out more and stuff. And I don't know, maybe the husband's job had changed, because the husband was being gone so much, and that was being a problem before. And their one kid, I don't know, he's 7 years old or something, 7 or 8, that he was going to be so excited because he was so sad that he was gone. And their dog, which was a year-old dog, so the dog was only a few months older than this dog, and so they were playing all the time. And then that dog kept being really sad. So it's like, it's such a much better fit. And he's not happy here. And that was another thing that was sticking out to me too, was because when my daughter had moved in with me one of the times and we had to share a place, she had a little dog, and the dog was always growling and trying to bite people. He would go potty in the house all the time. And so he'd get in trouble for going potty in the house, and then he would try and bite you. And like, he would go potty and then he'd go hide somewhere. And if you would try and get him and take him outside, she would be like, no, potty outside. And you try and pick him up and take him outside, and he would try and bite you. And so he was very, he was intense. But it was Stella's first boyfriend. She loved that dog. And he would curl up with her. He was always hanging out with her. And so he spent a ton of time with me. He was always hanging out with me and Stella. And so then we were going out of the country we were going to Portugal and Spain. And so for the dog sitter, my mom had got it set up for him to go to this lady's house who was going to potty train him while we were gone. And so when we went, and this is a good friend of my mom's, and she has all these rescue friends. And so so we went there and we went on our trip. When we came back, they were like, we would really like to keep this dog. We love this dog. And she said that it had no behaviors at all. He was an angel, never went potty in the house or anything. And I was like, okay, so his behaviors are showing that he's not happy. He's not happy with his living situation. And she had little kids. My daughter had little kids that are up in his face and stuff. And this person was an all-adult house where he just wasn't a kid kind of dog. And so he was really happy over at this house. And I can't remember if we brought him home at all, but I know that this all fell on me, because then I told all them, I was like, well, he's super happy over there, and they want to keep him, and they don't want him, and when he's here, he wants to bite everybody. He's not happy. He's growling. And then when he goes over there, he is happy. And so we should do what's right for him. And those people want him so bad. They love him. And so anyways, it ended up that Patrick did go to them and lives with them and still is so happy. My mom sees him all the time, and he's just greatest dog ever. And they love him. And he was not happy with us at all. It was a lot more chaos. There was more kids. It was more loud. And so his behaviors were definitely showing he wasn't at the right house. So I was putting that perspective in also with Jack, where I was like, okay, so he's doing these same kind of behaviors, where at first, he's going potty all over the house. And then he he overreacts, and and then he gets so growly and bitey and snappy. And so I was like, man, he does not have, and then the way he would run away all the time, it was like, okay, he's not happy here, no matter what. Like I was kept trying to be like, okay, well, I'll make it work. He'll get better as he gets older. All these different things. I was trying to think of the positive stuff to try and make it work. And so then when they went and came and got him, and at first he started barking at him, but then he started playing with them and stuff. But they were so excited. And one of the weird things was too, is so they were talking about how much bigger he was, and how much bulkier. And she said, my sister has his sister, and she's so big and bulky. And then I was like, oh my God, no wonder he was so fucking having such anxiety. He's like pulled away from all of his family, sent over here, even his own sister. He's pulled away from everything he knew, the dog that he was growing up with, the kids he was growing up with, and then he comes here. And then plus, my house is way more controlled. There they didn't have a fenced yard. He was just running and running and running. And then him almost getting hit on the highway is what made them think, like that it wasn't a good fit for them. But then they start seeing that that they missed him and stuff. But then it was really giving me different insight too of like, oh my gosh. So he left his sister and his, his adopted brother, his little brother that the other puppy he was being raised with, and then all the kids, and I think, liked kids. And so I guess he was jumping and getting all excited. And so anyways, I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder he was having such bad behaviors. And then I started feeling like, well, really it worked out where I just kind of fostered their dog while they took a break so that they could remember that they really cared about him, and then decide they want him back. Because if he would have went to the shelter, they would have never been able to get him back. And now he gets to go back and be with his sister again too. And so just so much more familiarity for him. And so I was thinking, this is really a positive, and it made, oh my God, what a relief. Like, what a drop in the energy in the house with, and it was kind of sad too, because once they said they were on their way, I started gathering up his stuff. Well, he started like panicking, like, what the fuck? Is he had been naughty all day, running away. And I was like, well, you don't want to be here anyways. I'm gathering his stuff, and he's trying to rip the bag out of my hand. No, wait. He's trying to jump inside the crate. He's like, no, I like it. I won't stay. And Stella was getting all upset. I was like, Stella, he's just got to go back to his house. And she was having this bigger reaction. It was like so dramatic. It was really like, I don't know how people look at animals, how they're just animals or something. They have the same reactions and stuff as people. And so it was the whole thing. And Stella, she's still upset about it. And so I feel really bad, because I know she's super lonely. But it just was like, man, it was not a good fit. And it was, now I think like it was his behaviors all because of his anxiety, because he was ripped out of the place where he was comfortable. And so I'm hoping, that that the husband really does take more of a role, and they really do go out there. Maybe they needed to see him being more handsome or something, and because he does have some like where he can calm down and stuff. But a young family with having boys to play with them and to grow up with is way more, I think good for the whole scenario. So it seemed like really positive to me. It seemed like, wow, some of this stuff is going in different directions than I had thought. But it all is positive, but it also, there's a sense of me determining what I want and standing up for what I want. And so it's like me making a decision over what I want. But then, so I had messaged my two daughters that I had, talked about, how challenging he was. And my one daughter, she kept trying to tell me, I don't even know the conversations that we had for sure. Because she's saying that I promised her that I would always keep him. And I was like, I don't think I would ever make that promise. I always have a clause in there. If a dog starts attacking Stella, no, no. And so, and I feel positive. I always say that, that's where I draw the line. And so and some dogs will do that. They'll sense that she's disabled and they will, and she plays alpha, but she's really smart and she's strong. And so some of the dogs will, she won't hurt anybody, but some of the other dogs will like try and attack her to take her down so that they can be the boss or something. I think it's just an animal world kind of thing. But, I always have her back, and I don't want anyone attacking her and hurting her. She's the most sweetest angel, smartest girl. Like she's just the sweetest thing. And so, but my one daughter, she completely reacted to this because I had said, well, now Jack is gone, and now it's so peaceful at my house with both people being gone, and the energy's so different. And my one daughter got mad, and so she had sent a text like, "What?" and "What are you saying?" or something like that. And then she called me, and I answered the phone, and I hadn't even seen the text. I didn't know she was so mad on the phone. And she's like, "I can't believe you did that. I am whatever her reaction." And she said, "You promised you were going to keep him no matter what." And I'm just sitting there not saying anything because I'm processing a lot of stuff. Processing like, wow, this is a lot of judgment. You don't even know the story. You don't even know anything that has happened. And then thinking about like how often people have no idea what your day-to-day is, but then they are so judgy over what you're going through. Like nobody really understands. That's why you can't get caught up in it. It's like nobody understands. Nobody walks in your shoes. Nobody knows what you're going through. And you don't need to feel like you are the problem. Like feel like there's something wrong with you. That's how they have people all thinking that something's wrong with them. And so I don't feel like something's wrong with me, even though there's a whole process to going through of, where I was already going through my own process, like of, did I give up? Was I doing good enough? Maybe I should have trained him more. Maybe I should have tried this. But really, when it keeps going back to it, it was like, it just wasn't a good fit. And it was kind of like that the people got a break from him to realize how much that they cared about him, which I hope. I don't know. Once he goes over there, I'm sure I'll find out from the neighbor, like if he's going to go back and, maybe he is just going to go in that direction of just being a mean, vicious dog. And, because they go to the shelter and they act like that, they're not going to get adopted. They put him in a certain place. As a dog with anxiety they'll just put him down. And especially if he's going around and biting and snapping at people. So hopefully he goes back and he gets back to home and he feels more content and excited and he doesn't feel stressed anymore. And so I don't know, it's hard to say, but it was still emotional for me because feeling like, my mom's voice is in my head and, are you just a failure? You really aren't good enough. You really don't do you think you can train them, but you're not that good. You couldn't even help this other person. You get all those voices, which there's a lot of dark energy around that will feed that. And you got to catch that stuff and say, shut up. And but when she was having the overreaction and she's not talking to me now, she's hung up on me. And I was thinking, this is another thing where you can get caught up in pleasing someone else. And so you're trying to do something to please somebody else and you're putting yourself aside. It's like the same thing as trying to do it for my mom to make sure that she can't say like, I'm not good enough. I couldn't do it. I couldn't handle it. And so it's kind of like the same thing, only somebody else is like, well, I don't care what you have to go through. You put yourself out, you do whatever it takes to make sure that, you know, you keep this dog or whatever. It's like, well, I mean, I'm not going to let this dog sit and bite me and bite Stella. Like, but I'm not going to go and just take it to the shelter. Like, I would just keep trying to work with it and stuff. Like, you know, I had already had said, well, you know, when I go and look up these videos about this kind of behaviors, they say that you got to crate them a lot. And it's like you got to reduce their high energy and anxiety by having them learn to calm themselves by putting them in the crate, and it had other things and stuff. But, you know, you think like, oh, you let him go out and run and get our energy out, but that would just build him up into chaotic sense where he would just lose his mind. He couldn't listen or anything. But then trying to catch him when he's like that and get him to go back in. But, you know, I would have kept working with him. I would have kept trying. I wasn't going to go and dump him off, but I did have the attitude, well, if you're going to just keep running away and you're going to run away, then you're going to leave. Like, I'm not going to go out and keep chasing you around. It's impossible. I'd be driving myself crazy. You can't catch him. And he just is going to run and run and run until he wants to come back. And so that part of me was just like, okay, well, I've just got to let go. If you have a dog that's just constantly running away, then, you know, eventually they're not going to come back. And for whatever reason, somebody will take them in. My daughter's dog was taken in so many times. That dog was chipped. And so then they could always find the owner. He isn't chipped yet. He didn't have a chip or anything. I haven't gotten any of that stuff done. And he hadn't, you know, where Crystal, where we were talking about these things, he had only had the first ones. He had never had anything past the first ones. I'm not sure what they put in, but I kept feeling like it has to do with the frequency. Like, I think that there is a really intense frequency that is making people feel intense, that, and they don't realize, you know, and I think it's making some of the dogs be more intense. Like, sometimes you even go outside and you start hearing all the dogs are barking, and there's just an intenseness. And I think it's like a more in nature too. So I can hear these high-pitched sounds all the time. And sometimes you can feel them inside of you. And that's what I feel like, even with these little prickly things all over my body, I feel like that is something with the intensity is turned up or something, which they can have it in different areas at different volumes or hertz or whatever. There's another thing out of that movie too, that it said some station, when they were looking at the stations, and the station said 1619 hertz or something like that, where people are like, it would be AM or FM, not hertz. And so they went to go look that up, and there's some kind of thing about that. I can't even repeat it. Some kind of thing about frequency, and there's just a lot of stuff about the frequency and the CIA files and stuff. Like, they're definitely using frequency against us, and they definitely know the effects of the frequencies and stuff. And I think that they're doing different ones in different places to create different experiences, to see like how we react, you know. And then plus they track what chemicals, like what chemicals are on the food, how much of this food is being sold, how much of this is being ingested, how much of that's being ingested, what happens if you turn it to this one, what happens if you spray that. Like, all that stuff is being logged and watched. And I don't know if it's by, you know, like, we think that these space stations are something different because what they tell us, but they could be some kind of a logging system that is picking up on all this information, especially if we're really on this quantum kind of frequency that we don't really understand because we are so tuned into this game or something. But the quantum frequency, like the one where I think it is like you use to talk to other beings and stuff, and is a sense of communication, to be able to communicate with other beings and stuff. And so I think that that is gonna, I don't know, whatever is gonna go on. Gosh, I get so uncomfortable sitting here. The quantum system, that's one thing too I wanted to do, was this winter I wanted to redo this chair. Man, there's a lot of stuff. Like, and then it's like, gosh, you gotta go into the store. I could go into the store Wednesday if my check goes in. I could go in and see about getting fabric and get some bigger cushions. Like, get softer cushions. I don't know if it's just because this cushion's so old. I don't know how old this chair is. I got it for like $30. I love these big old chairs. I bought it used from somebody for like 30 bucks. And then I've had it for years and years. But I do need to recover it. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Everything just seems so weird. And I had it so set on that I needed to go get wire and work on that fence. But it's hard to do projects outside when it's motherfucking freezing cold. And it is like really cold. And it's ridiculous when they say it's like 50 degrees, but you go outside and it feels like your nose is going to just break right off of your face. That even your fingertips start freezing in your gloves and stuff. That's not motherfucking 50. And so, I don't even know. I don't even get like all this trickery, all this fucking nonsense. But so, let me think. It's always around this time is when I always end up looking up. It's always around the same time. Okay, so let me think. So anyways, when you, to me, when you're making decisions about things, you got to be really honest with yourself. I feel like me being honest with my neighbor and being like, you know, I fucking hate him. And, you know, and I don't hate anything. It was really, you know, I mean, I was at such a frazzled state of just being so, pissed, but so like pushed and pushed and pushed, and then to have to keep going out when it's fucking freezing cold and trying to chase him or get him in and all that. It's like, oh my God. And so anyways, I had been thinking about the fence, and I was going to go and get the wire, and I was going to do like the whole bottom, do chicken wire, because that is harder to dig, but except he would just eat through it. But try and stick that down into the ground, and then maybe put rocks on top of that. And then I was going to get another of the other fence and put that over and do a double layer because he bites through it. And so anyways, I was just trying to make plans about that. But now that would be totally shifting. And like, oh, well, you know, this would be the perfect time to get some fabric and work on this chair. Because I'm not really doing anything. So it's weird, too. Because it was so intense where it was like, for weeks, I was like, oh my God, why in the world is all this happening? And what am I supposed to be learning here? Is all I kept going back to, where it was like, God, you weren't being appreciative of just the peacefulness of just me and Stella. And, you know, well, I still feel like I need to get out of here. Like, that doesn't go away. That has been something I haven't shaked, I don't know, since the whole thing started with quarantine, and I just started seeing how different I was from different people. I was just like, oh, I just don't fit in here. This is not my place. And so that has been wearing on me for a long time. But then there's the whole aspect of, I think there's a right time and place, that everything is the lessons in between. But I don't feel like we're supposed to force it. I feel like things open up when you're supposed to go. A door opens. So you're not supposed to be out going around banging on all the doors and obsessing, and, you know, because you can, you know, get into an obsessive place at this point of like looking for where would be a safe place, where can I go? And but I know that there's going to be a huge shift, and there's going to be so much with free land, there's going to be a lot of stuff to start our society going in a different direction. And so, you know, I know that there's nothing to worry about, even if I lose this house, which is yesterday, I think it was like a couple or something. like an old couple in like a fancy car, and they drove real slow past my house. And I thought, oh, so it's on some sort of list where people are looking at the houses that are going to go on auction so that they can go and try and get the house. And it's just like there's so many people are so like vultures. Like I've been that too. Like when you don't have very much money and you need to get a home, but that's how we set our society into like a vultures taking stuff from other people. And I saw a whole breakdown too. So the thing was going to go on, and this guy was explaining it, something that I also didn't know about. It was another thing with the economics, and I can't remember what the word was. Diversified is coming into my mind, but that's not what the word was. But it is something how the banks and how they have it set up for the money. And so they're selling off this man, I don't know how to explain this right. But whatever they're doing, it's like it's kind of like the same thing as they're all trying to sell off their stock or something. But it's trying to build up. It's like they're trying to keep afloat, but it's all going to crash. It's not going to work. And because it's set up to fail, it's not going to, so it's not going to work. They're not going to pull themselves up. And so, and that's the whole thing with the BRICS nation is pushing in on them too. So the bankers are going to fail. But whatever is going on, how they're trying to do it with all this illegal shady shit, is one of the things that they can do is they can call all the loans. This guy said that, so what they have to do now, because there was no money, so then they have to call in the loans on people. So they said they can go in. It doesn't matter if you're late on payments or anything. It's all in their contracts. They can just come in and take your house. So we'll probably see some of that because there's going to be whatever drama that's going to have to keep going down to get people to realize. But so they're going to, he said they can call in all of your banknote, your car, your house. They can just take it and say that they have to take it for their money in order to stay afloat or whatever. And so, who knows? I don't know how the money thing is going to play out, but it just keeps going in the direction that it's going to collapse. And so once it collapses out, it's going to be good for us. But all this lead in and all this panic and all this stuff, but once it goes, that's going to be the best thing is once we get to the NESARA GESARA part. I can't wait to get to the medbed part. That to me is the biggest thing, is getting relieved from all of the debt so we don't have any of that kind of stress anymore. And then getting, healthy, getting these plastic things out of my chest, getting the toxins and stuff just to feel better, like overall, not to feel stress of how lifestyle and debt, and then not to feel the stress of the sickness and the poisons and chemicals and stuff. So those things, I just look so forward to that part. And but however the money thing is going to play out, it's already in motion. So whatever's going to go is going to go, but it's all going to be going. It isn't, it's not where we're going to stop. Whatever happens, it's just a part of the impact. Like, I don't even know that, are they really even going to hire any of these immigrants? Like, or is it all just a big show? Are they going to have one or two out there? I mean, it could also, even if they have them, that could all be a big act of playing out a scenario. So they pretend to hire them because there's white hats. Not like there's a lot of places that white hats are taking over, but they're exposing the dark hats, or the dark people. And so they're exposing their stuff, which makes the bad people uncomfortable because they're all being exposed. I mean, and some of this stuff, when you see them, they're just sitting there with these looks on their faces like they don't even know what to do or say. It's like, because you're being exposed. It was all you're. Things are always going to come to the surface. Things are always going to be seen. And so many people, you think they can just go around and do things and it doesn't matter and nobody knows and stuff. It's like, That's not how the universe works. You're being watched all the time, for one thing. And so the so however the money thing is going to play out, it's going to play out. And so it's going to collapse. But some of the stuff too is like actors, these crisis actors are being used. So like they could have these couple of cops that are crisis actors, really, that seem to be like they're immigrants. They're just hired by LA, and then they go out and have a shootout with something, and they take off with their gun. Like they can have some big drama go on, but that doesn't mean it's really happening. It can be, I guess. I mean, all the different things are going to be played out in all different ways, but a lot of this stuff is part of the show. And so I think it's really, you got to pick and choose where you're putting your energy. So many people are so wrapped up in what's going on in the strip and stuff. But those people who are all wrapped up in it, that's the people who are the players to make the change, make the movement. We don't all have to get all wrapped up in the same stuff. Like, everything's got its own stuff to play out. So anyways, with the money thing, I mean, anything can go down. I mean, today's Monday, so now whatever happened with the BRICS thing, now this is where we should see some kind of effects on Wall Street or something. And there's been all this stuff being sold off, all this stuff going with the houses collapse. Like, there's a lot going. Like, I can't imagine that we're going to go through this whole week with no money drama. And that guy who was talking about this thing that they're trying to do, he said another thing that is going to be, they're going to take away all retirements and all that. Everything is just going to go. And that is going to be one thing that's going to really set some people off when their retirements are gone, something that they worked for their whole life. And that has caused some riots in some other countries. I think that was part of France even when it had started. So that is going to set off some big anger here. And so, and then also the medical, once that starts going. And I keep seeing things all the time. Like, they've had the cure for cancer for over 40 years. And so, it's gonna really affect some people, especially when they start realizing that cancer isn't even real. You weren't even sick with what they told you were sick with, and that there was ways to heal. It had nothing to do with they just wanted to make you sicker. So it's just, a lot of bullshit and a lot of stuff. So with the money thing, it still seems like that's going to be what's going to really set things in motion. And then it's going to take down, Joe and the whole shebang. All of the criminal corruption will go. And so hopefully it is going to go this week. But we'll see. And I'm sure it's going to lead to a lot of drama. It's going to lead to a lot of problems. And, but we have to go through the problems. There's nothing that we can do about that. It's a part of the story. And it's already written. And I just even saw Bashar saying something yesterday. I didn't listen to the whole thing because it starts interfering and causing conflict in my own knowing. And so I'm not going to listen, especially because sometimes I just think, well, it's different perspectives, it's different ways of looking at things. But it was something what he was talking about with timelines and realities. And I don't know. I'm never in alignment. Like, to me, everything is destiny. It's a ride. You're on a ride. Everybody who you meet was always going to cross your path at that exact moment. Everything is set in place. So I don't know. That interferes where people keep thinking that you can change that. Like, I don't know. I think there's different levels for one thing. You could be not in this situation, because this is a lot more contained and controlled. But say you're out in your light body, then I think it's more like lucid dreaming, that you can go into different kinds of realities and different kinds of dreams and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, there can be some places, like even when we're dreaming and we go to these places, this astral realm, or these other places exist that, where people interact and stuff, that I think I don't think that's scripted, but I think that this world that we're in is very scripted. I think this is, it's set. It's a set. It's a destiny. It's a window of time. It's a place. It's a role. It's just, that's your period of time. And you just come in for that period of time, and it has all these different people all are affected by one another. And it's meant to be that way. It's like scripted. Who you meet and how you meet and everything is all a part of it. So anyways, you know, but there's all different levels. But anyways, whatever he was saying and stuff, like he could be, especially if he's, I don't know what the whole thing is with Bashar, as he always shuts his eyes and stuff. So I think he's some guy, I don't know if his name's Bashar, but I think who he's channeling is Bashar. And so that is, you know, I mean, he's channeling Bashar, which, you know, could be his higher self or some other aspect of himself, then that can be information from some other thing. I don't know, because I just don't see it as like you can just close your eyes and just put yourself in a different reality. Yeah, like all these people who just keep saying, you know, we're all reality jumping. We're all, you know, because these Mandela effects and stuff happen. And to me, these glitches and these Mandela effects was always going to happen, because everything's glitching out. This is like the ending of things. Like even yesterday, I put on Pandora. Like even in my car, I said that the radio will skip back. It will skip back. It will change. The volume will keep changing. The song will jump around. And so yesterday, I put on Pandora, and it was doing the same thing in the house. It's just like these things are just glitching out. Things are just like, you know, it's like somebody has poured something wet on the computer. And so you just have these little glitches going. And being something poured wet on us is the awakening, something waking us up, a splash in the face that gets you to start thinking. And it causes these glitches to start happening, because you start realizing that this isn't real. This reality is not real. And so but it's going to reset into a new reality. It's like the board game, a new board game comes, a new game starts. But you also, though, you have to, you know, transition into that board game. You don't just, you can't just take your same avatar, your same persona, and go straight in. You have to do some work. You have to be of a different mindset. You have to have learned something from everything you've gone through, and changing and opening your mind in order to play the next game. So anyways, that's just the way I see it. So let me think if there was anything else. But to me, you know, it's like really emotional. You know, here I am disappointing one of my daughters again, and then feeling like so judged, and not even asking me anything about what happened or what I had gone through, not having any priority about, you know, my experience, just that now I've failed, and because I didn't keep the dog. And so anyways, you know, you can't get caught up in how other people are perceiving you. Otherwise, it will hold you back. Like, you got to just look at that things and see those things. But you can't just try and please other people. Like, because really, I am much happier without him being here. He was super challenging. He was exhausting. And I do value my peace. I value my peace of mind. I value peacefulness. Like, it has great value to me. Like, and when something is constantly disrupting that and creating chaos, that interferes with my peacefulness. And so that, you know, to me is a deterrent. It's something that doesn't fit. But we have to all decide what works for us and what doesn't work for us. But then we have to be really honest with ourselves of, you know, what it is, what am I trying to get here? Why am I putting myself through this? What am I trying to do here? Who am I trying to please? And so anyways, it's just something to think about. And I'm sure I'm going to be still thinking about it and thinking about it still more today. And I will have to go through all the process of feeling like, I'm a failure. I should have tried this harder. I should have tried that harder. But that's where you got to also remind yourself, woulda, shoulda, coulda, and that things happen the way they're supposed to happen. I keep trying to put myself in the positive mindset of like, basically I've fostered quite a few people's dogs and had them come stay with me until they were in a better place. And so it seemed like that was the same thing that I had done there was, take care of their dog. I did try and train him a bunch of times. I spent a lot of time trying to train him. And so I did, uh, he had a safe place. He ate good. He went back way fatter than when he came. And he, I don't know. I mean, I can't say he was safe because he escaped all the time. And as soon as you go out there, like a car can hit you or somebody, like one of these people out here is just shoot you and or call the police on you and then them come and take you, especially act ambitious like that. So anyways, um, you know, just as, just be honest with yourself and, be honest with yourself if you're trying to please others or trying to make people think that you are better. I mean, if that's how you look at me, then that's what you see. Like, there's nothing I can do about that. I'm not going to look at myself like that. I'm going to look at myself with favor. I'm going to look at myself like in a more positive way. As you get yourself caught up in looking at yourself through the negative eyes of other people's judgment, you just feel down and defeated. You feel like you're never good enough. But you have to champion yourself. You have to build yourself up. You're the one who has to pull yourself forward. And so anyways, it's just another one of those things of, really stopping and looking and thinking and, determining what it is you're trying to get, what it is you want. And it's all more of a defining self is the way I look at it. So anyways, we all see things how we see them. So today we have power so far. So I'll get this one downloading and then we'll see what tomorrow brings. Each day is a new day. So we'll just see how it goes. But just remember, no matter if it starts going south, because I think that a lot of people are just there's going to be a big energy of like, I knew it was, and freaking out. But that is where it's going to just all of a sudden jolt and go the other way. And it's going to be like the lights come on. And it's going to be a big jolt. However it's going to happen, I think there's going to be like a jolt energetically of like, where a lot of people say it's going to be the sun blasting. But I just don't see it as being the harvest, the main solar flash. Because I don't know, it just seems like people have to see the other side. People have to get that balance in themselves to really make a determination of who they are and where they stand on things. So I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe it's the solar flash is going to happen and that's going to set everybody straight. Maybe that is it. And I thought that the solar flash was going to be more of the beginning of the new age, and so that would not be all the people wouldn't be going forward. And so I don't know, you just gotta say and see. But there's lots of different what are those people, prophetic books and stuff that talk about it. You can go and read different things and see what you think is going to happen. But I just say don't worry, don't stress, and just keep on keeping in mind that everything is going to turn the other direction, no matter when it starts feeling like hopeless, because that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to get us to a point of just hopeless. There's just no hope, and then something will happen and turn everything the other direction. And it definitely is building up to that hopelessness of like so many people feel so defeated. So hopefully it's going to be soon. Hopefully this week really is. Hopefully this really is a Christmas to remember. So anyways, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.